Welcome, Cyclone fans, to another episode of CF After Dark post-game show. Hosted by Stevenson, joined by Tom Turner and Dylan Kuhn. Folks, it was a rough one today in Hilton Coliseum as Iowa State falls to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It was a difficult game, in sort of a tale of two halves, but one was really bad and one was just kind of bad. You know, it's when you go down these stretches towards the end of the season, it's, you know, we want to see Iowa State playing its best basketball, but it's not right now. We're gonna break it down a little bit and so try to give ourselves a little bit of a prognosis for. Obviously, you got Arizona coming up on Monday, and then you've got Arizona State to finish the regular season before you head down to Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament. So, you know, what do you do? I mean, what do you do when Texas Tech is shooting 58% from the floor on almost entirely jump shots, and they're shooting, you know, 48% from three on 29 attempts, 14 to 29 from three? What do you do with that?
There was some elite shot making, like there was some like really tough shots that they hit, but as it like Atwell is probably Texas Tech's best 3-point shooter, had multiple open looks in the first half, and a lot of this is we do double. I mean, some of it's by design. I mean, there's a reason there's not a guy over there, but the frustration I think is like Texas Tech on paper, especially since Toppin has been out, they've just chucked threes. I mean, they've just been shooting threes at a super high volume, and if you trap as hard as we do, and I think it looked better at the start of the second half. If we come with a purpose on those traps and we really do blitz, you can get a ball handler, but if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, you're leaving a good 3-point shooter wide open.
Yeah, it's why did we start the game with the aggressiveness that we did in the second half? Like,
yeah.
That's what it really comes down to. I mean, I don't know why we're not talking about the biggest storyline. Melvin Edgem got his jersey retired. So that's the only thing we should talk about.
Melvin Edgem did finally get his jersey retired, which when I heard the news, I was like that made my heart feel full. That
felt like good vibes. That felt like something.
I thought we were going on a run.
Yeah.
They announced that, and it was like, there's no way we lose this game now. And turns out you can still lose the game when you play as poorly on offense and defense as Iowa State did. You know, Dylan, you brought up there was a lot of times where they had Atwell. They found him wide open on the back. Now, there was a couple times, as poorly as I believe that Iowa State played, I don't think it should be, like, you shouldn't take anything away from Texas Tech, who not only was their shot making unbelievable at times.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, those two contested mid-range jumpers that Petty hit there. Yeah, that Petty hit right at the end of Iowa State's, you know, surge there, were two of the best shots I've seen anybody hit against Iowa State all season. And they were back to back. And then they also were accompanied with two really, really outstanding plays at the rim defensively for Texas Tech, where they blocked Blake Buchanan at the rim on two possessions surrounded by those two mid-range shots. And that immediately killed what was happening. So, you know, don't want to take away too much from Texas Tech, because their effort today was incredible, because you had the shot making, but also, especially in the first half, the job they did passing out of those traps was fantastic. I mean, they were like, there's teams that handle it well, and there's teams that really, really don't. And the teams that really don't have a lot of trouble against Iowa State. The teams that do handle it well generally have some success. And Texas Tech there were some passes that they made out of traps today that were unbelievable. There was the one he got trapped at almost half court, found a dude in the corner, and then he whipped it back around to the wing and found Atwell wide open.
Anderson too, when you get like super elite guards against these traps, they will almost sucker your defense. So they're the ones that do get doubled, and then they know how to operate out of it. To do that, you have to be someone as good as Christian Anderson. Because if you get a guard in there that gets sped up and he doesn't have the passing, there was that one where Anderson passed it like behind his head, just kind of lobbed it to guys because he knew his guy was there. Probably couldn't even see him, but just knew. But I don't know. A lot of this too, you were talking about when Buchanan got blocked. I can't remember the name of that defender, but he has 4 fouls while he's doing that. And there's 4 of Texas Tech starters have 4 fouls at the end of the game.
Bemboye, I think is his name. Yeah.
And he's been really good since Toppin. He's been starting in place of Toppin. He's done really well the last 3 games. But to have so many guys in foul trouble and then to never really, I think he did eventually foul out, but by then it was kind of over. So to just have so many guys in foul trouble and not be able to attack, Tom, you were saying like all game, get downhill, like attack these guys with fouls. And I just felt like we didn't do that to the degree we could have.
I'm I'm sick. First of all, I might have a bad voice here and there. This is a flu game for me, but yeah, I'm upset. I'm genuinely upset at this game because I'm more mad at the coaching staff, I think, because we didn't I don't know why we didn't adjust the defense at all. Not like huge adjustments, but like instead of being in the passing lane, why can't we be a step over so we can have a high hand for their 3-point shooters? Instead, Atwell hit 4 threes in the first half. You give them confidence with this team without Toppin, that's what's going to happen. Number 2 was I don't understand why we didn't go downhill at the start of the game, why it took so long, because we saw them get in foul trouble. But guess what? They got 4 fouls with 8 minutes left instead of with 12 or 13. It was just the little things like that. And then again, with the coaching staff, what does Texas Tech do and want to do? Shoot threes. What do threes that don't go in the basket do? It's a long ass rebound, but instead Torrey and Taman are inside the free throw line in the paint. And we saw how many rebounds go off their face, off their hands. It's well, no shit. You're not going to catch that. You know how hard it is to catch that rebound when it's off the rim like that? Why are you that close? There's no reason for you to be that close. The offensive guy's not even going to grab that too if they're inside the paint there. I was so confused with our game plan. I was pretty upset. At the start of the game, Jefferson had space down low where he was getting buckets. He had a 3 that helped a lot. But then guess what? At the end of the first half, Torrey and Taman went 0 of 9 from the field. 0 of 9. I made the similarity on offensively offensive that we have 2 Aaron Crafts on our team, and it's just simply true at this point. It is so hard to function offense. And it got to the point where I think Nate talked a bit about this on our last episode. Teams have got really good with Jefferson at not doubling until he starts his second move. So he does his spin, and then his second move, there's a second defender there, which makes it just as hard to pass. And then with Torrey and Taman's defenders already just hanging out in the paint, turnovers and missed opportunities are going to happen.
Yeah, it's just I would say it's got that the Lipsy and Toure offense problem right now is a big one. Because we haven't seen that be an issue really since Taman's freshman season when teams were backing off of it. They were giving him 5-10 feet of space every time, and they were just daring him to shoot it. Basically, they're not quite doing that now. They're still keeping pressure on him on the 3-point line, but right now, if Taman does get space and he teams aren't really scared of him knocking anything down, and Toure just didn't even get close on most of his jumpers. I mean, they were borderline air balls on a few of these, and Taman hit one right off the front rim, stuff like that. Let me pull up some stats here today. I do see a lot of comments. I promise I see all of your comments. I do. There's a lot of them coming in, and I want to get through some of this before we start getting into questions, because I know people are obviously reacting to the game and all that. So we will be pulling up comments, I promise. Obviously, a little bit of a rough day here from, you got over here, you're looking at 58% from Tech, 39% from Iowa State. Somehow you brought it to the 9-point deficit. It's kind of deceiving because Iowa State just hit a bunch of threes at the end for just kind of out of nowhere. Milan nearly drained the shot of the century.
Would have been crazy. That would have been.
It would have been the greatest shot I've ever seen in that building.
Also, Petty is such an automatic free throw shooter. It made no sense how many free throws he was shooting down.
That was the Phil Forte missing 2 in a row at the end of Oklahoma State. That's exactly what that was.
Yep.
The troubling thing for me here too is also Tech turned the ball over 15 times. Iowa State only turned it over 7.
Yeah.
That ordinarily, that disparity right there is a W for Iowa State every single time. They won the points off turnovers battle 17-9. When Iowa State wins the points off turnovers battle by 8 points, that's usually a win for Iowa State. They don't lose that game hardly ever. And I know they just couldn't get anything to go down, but I'd be kind of curious for you guys' thoughts too. But I really didn't feel like Iowa State did themselves any favor. They didn't make it easier for themselves to get to get those good shots, to get those knockdown, to get those, get the makes. Texas Tech earned their way by generating a lot of open shots. And I really don't feel like Iowa State's game plan did much to help them generate open shots.
I think, Tom, like, it totally just goes back to the 0-9 from your starting guards. Like, it limits so much of what you can do on offense because it messes all the spacing up. Your guards are supposed to be the ones that are spacing the floor because they bring their defenders out to the perimeter. It gives you room to operate in the post for Jefferson to dump off to Buchanan that we try to get to all the time. Momcilovic, like kind of in that mid-range, that gets taken away because Touré's defender can come over and help on that. It just like so much of it. And this, I was thinking about this too. When we lose games, we almost always get punched first. It is very rare that we come out with the intensity. Like when we were rolling in January, we were so good in the first half, especially after that Cincinnati game that kind of woke us up. I feel like those next couple of weeks were defined by how good we were in the first half. And when you don't have that kind of, you aren't able to set the table for your offense when, Touré and Lipsy are struggling from the floor, it just makes everything so much harder.
In the total game, if you want to add Bateman with Touré and Taman, they went 1 of 11 from 3. And Bateman's was in like the last 4 minutes. Like it's just Jefferson had 3 turnovers. He had 25 and 5 and 3 turnovers and 5 steals. Having really 3 turnovers with that bad of a performance from the guards shooting wise is like a Hall of Fame performance, in my opinion. I don't know how he's able to operate. Now, there is some post-ups that are just ridiculously bad by him. Like, there's some that he has the height and the weight advantage, and he just can't do anything with, which is a little bit on him. But I don't have the statistic or percentage with me, but like 65 to 70% of his miscues or missed shots on his post-ups, I feel like go right to the guards. Because it's like, what are we doing? We got 3 guys in the paint, and it goes to your Milan point. Like, Milan can't get his shot set up because he's got 2 guys coming at him with the guy who's guarding him. It's just impossible to run anything. And, like, sure, this team can get hot. Taman can make threes. Bateman can make threes. This team could beat good teams. They can beat them on neutral courts. We've seen that. They're undefeated on neutral courts. But guess what? It's a lot more often that they're not going to make threes. So that puts you in a bad spot.
What's funny, though, is, as much as I think we all agree that it felt like they had a really hard time finding Milan shots all game, like they have the last 2 months, basically. Guy still goes 5 of 9 from 3.
Yeah.
Like even in the games where they are dumping their entire game plan into making sure that dude doesn't even touch the ball, he's still going 5 of 9 from 3. But what's concerning, I shouldn't say concerning, but to me, I mean, a little bit concerning, I guess, that they've had to learn this lesson a few different times now. Is that they've clearly seen what the game plan is. Like, Iowa State is at its best when they can get out to a lead and play with a lead and force the other team to play with some desperation, be in panic a little bit, because when the other team gets impatient, that's when they start turning it over, and that's when the snowball starts rolling. So when you look at that, when you look at how good Iowa State tends to be when they get out hot and they get a lead early and they stay aggressive early and they turn the other team over early, when they do that, how good they are when they do that, it's shocking to me that we're still at this point in the season and they're like, they still haven't figured it out yet, that like if they bust their ass in the first half, they can get 10, 15, 20 point leads, and they should still bust their ass in the second half. But it's a little bit easier to not play 100% in the second half with a 20 point lead than it is to do what they did today and get out rebounded, kind of get out hustled on these 50-50 balls, being out of position, as Tom mentioned, on the long rebounds. It's Touré and Taman out of position, but then it's also Jefferson and Milan and all these guys kind of ball watching on them as well, and just kind of letting them fly right past their heads, essentially. And Finney says, I made $100 off Tech winning. It's dirty money. Here you go.
Dirty money. Wow.
Finney with the most disgusting super chat of all time. Appreciate it, though. Thank you. I don't know. It just, do we feel like this team learns its lesson at some point from this team has to be a fast starting team. It has to be.
Yeah. And so much of the kind of, it's not like Touré's been this offensive maestro. Even when he was playing at his best, it's not like he was this shot creating, offense first guard. But what made up for it was his intensity on defense. And I don't remember the sequence exactly, but Tom said it like the words out of my mouth. He didn't hustle back in transition defense, left up a layup on the other end. That's just what you weren't seeing from him early on. Is he had so much intensity on defense. I know that had to be how he won the starting job to begin with the defensive side of the ball. And that probably not as concerning as the lack of offensive production that we're seeing from him. But what made up for it was his defense, his pickpocket steal at the top of the key when the guard fell asleep. You're just, and again, we're playing much better. Christian Anderson isn't playing us in November, like when he had a lot of those kind of plays. But I just feel like there's been a drop off on that end too. And kind of like you're saying, Levi, that's how you do get up to those leads, is you play that intensive defense, you earn those minutes. And then the only problem with that is it reminds me of that Kansas game where we just played the most disgusting punt offense with a lead. So I don't want to do that either, but I would much rather be up in the second half than the position we're in today where we're fighting and clawing for just any chance of, getting it to single digits.
I think Touré might actually have a confidence thing. And it's not like I'm in the locker room or anything, but he played okay against Utah. He had some nice pull-up jumpers in the mid-range where it's this looks like a nice shot, especially in the offseason. Next year, that could be one of your shots.
Mm-hmm.
This game, he airballs a three really early. He was struggling, but there was one drive he got to his left hand, went to the rim, drew the post defender, missed it. But guess what? Blake Buchanan dunk followed. And there was a lot of those where it was just guys, just drive with a purpose, move with a purpose, because good things come from it. And that's why Buchanan finished with 11-9, 11-7, or I think 7-11, actually. I don't have it in front of me. But we saw all these putback dunks and putbacks right before the end of the first half with Buchanan and throughout the game. It's because if you do something with a purpose, production and good things are going to happen. And it got to the point where Touré was just standing at some point. And that's where I get mad, because I know how good he can be. Yet Touré just, I don't want to say takes possessions off, but like Dylan said, that he missed a three, didn't hustle back. And that cost us, I don't know. It's got to be a confidence thing.
I do want to make it clear that this is not why Iowa State lost the basketball game. But if but Jordan says if Tony Padilla was in my basement right now, it would get ugly quick. And there, the one call he made
on Taman, when Atwell just fell down.
Just fell down.
That's all it was.
Man, he just sat there and milked the shit out of it. And I was like,
waving off.
Even if it's the correct call, this ain't your show. Tony Padilla.
The way he did it, waves it off, waits 3 seconds, then he repositions himself to pull.
Turns around
doing, dude?
What are we doing?
That is 101, not a ref show, dude. You're there to do your job, not to be a star actor. And it's insane that all our weird bad losses or the weird game against Cincinnati, he's just there. I don't like it. He's just a bad vibe. Because the games aren't on him, obviously, but he just brings in these bad vibes, and you see Tony come in, you're like, that's a 7-point swing right there.
He's a bad penny, man. He just keeps showing up. It's just not good. Well, and there's someone Iowa State's got to say something about that guy, because last year, his vendetta against Keyshawn Gilbert was very obvious. He did not like Keyshawn Gilbert specifically. And
the
then
technicals he gave to Keyshawn were just
insane. And then and he gets put on these ones, and he's just the Grim Reaper, man. I can't stand why. I'm not accusing Tony Padilla of anything, but what I'm kind of am, but I guess, but I'm not. I want to be clear. This and he is not why Iowa State lost this game.
Right.
Iowa State did plenty on their own to lose this game, and I still maintain that for the most part, the only team that can truly beat Iowa State is Iowa State, because even despite Texas Tech playing out of their fucking minds today, if Iowa State just knocks down a normal amount of jumpers today, they probably win the game.
Right.
And that's that's kind of the thing too. And there was a couple of shots that Tech knocked down that Iowa State could not have played any better defense on, and they just knocked them down. And so it's kind of one of those things, but I know the The thing I think we talked about a little bit towards the end of the game. I think Tom and I really just me and Tom going back and forth a little bit, but like, what do you do with Toure at this point? He is he's right now he is a 0 offensively. He does not do anything for you offensively right now. At best, right now his best contribution is probably just taking it to the hole and just seeing what happens type of thing. But I mean, he airballed a couple threes, and I mean, like I don't think his jump shot's broken. Like I don't think there's anything like necessarily wrong with his jump shot. But it's just not there right now. Like, you know, maybe like you said, maybe an off season can fix that. Maybe he can be a 35% three-point shooter. And if he can, awesome. He becomes an extremely valuable player at that point. But as soon as teams, it's just like Milan on offense, as soon as teams put Toure on the scouting report and say, by the way, just if Toure is guarding your best player, just get him switched off. And like get him switched so that way Milan is guarding your best player and Toure is guarding some guy that's 6 inches taller than him. Teams figure that out. They get Toure switched off, and all of a sudden the reason you have him on the floor, which is for his defense, just doesn't matter anymore because he's not even guarding the ball handler. He's not guarding anybody. So they need to figure out what they're going to do with that. It could be a confidence issue because I remember it was when Iowa State was making that little run late. Toure deflected an inbounds pass and chased it out of bounds, and he didn't quite get to it. But right after that, TJ was over on him, like patting down, like hell yeah. I mean, granted, that's a very TJ thing to congratulate a player for. But in that moment, that did feel a little bit to me like that was like we need to get this kid feeling better and like get this kid's mind right, basically. So I'm not sure what do you guys think you do with Toure going forward?
Levi, you said it means so much more who's on the court at the end of the game than who's on the court at the start of the game. And we had Bateman close out multiple games in the past couple of weeks. And to me, it's all about, you kind of know after the first 8 minutes of a game, probably like who's going to be on the court at the end of the game if it's a close game. And if Toure is able to drive the ball or knock down a 3-point shot to the point that, they do have to guard him, then he's fine. Like, bring the intensity on defense, you're fine. But Bateman has closed out multiple games for a reason, and it's spacing, and I think the coaches have realized that. So to me, it's more about the end of the game. You find out in the flow of a game who is going to be more valuable at the 2 guard.
I think Kyle said,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, big picture question. Do you guys have confidence ISU can string together 4 March wins to get to Indy? I have massive doubts about in-game adjustments when things go sour.
I don't think I can give a fair opinion with this team until the bracket's actually out, because matchups are a huge thing, and so is confidence. So if you get really good matchups, you win 2 games, their confidence is going to be nice with a week off, and you put 2 good wins together, and now you're in the Sweet 16. Like, there's plenty of opportunities. That's not where I'm at with this game, but I think I got to hold back a little bit.
I still think we're such a hard, for another team to string 4 wins together, they're going to have to beat us. Mm-hmm. And I think we are probably a team that plays a unique enough style that other teams probably don't want to see us. So I think you have to consider that too, especially if it's on 1 day rest and then you have Iowa State. And that would either be a round of a 32 game or an Elite 8 if we make it to the second weekend. I think that's where Iowa State really has an advantage because no one really plays defense like us.
Yeah, we're a tough scout on short rest.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of think I think there's a chance that Iowa State can go on a little bit of a run in Kansas City, because I think it seems to me as though this team is best at establishing a rhythm on offense and keeping things moving when they have less time to think about things. Even in the flow of a game, flow of a game, between games, whatever it is. We saw when they were in Vegas, they played well through that whole tournament because I think they were allowed to just stay in a rhythm and keep going.
Yeah.
And then we saw, earlier this month when they had that long 6-day break that, they get to BYU and all of a sudden they're flat and, things are just out of rhythm a little bit. And to me, it seems like this team plays better when some decision making is taken away, when they can just play free and they can just go. if you look at it in the flow of a game too, we see like when Iowa State can run just a little bit, they don't need to be like they're not a track meet basketball team, but
Right.
when they can get up and move there, and when their offense is initiated and they're running a nice set with purpose, this team can can be really, really dangerous and very, very efficient when they're doing that. But we saw it a lot today. We saw it a lot more than we should. Is that when this team gets kind of bogged down a little bit on offense, or they miss a few shots, and then they slow things down in the half court, and all of a sudden that's where things get really muddy, because then you get these you get some of these ISO sets with Jefferson where he's posting up, and when Jefferson's passing out of the post, he's awesome. When he's backing guys down and trying to just bully his way into the paint, it can get dicey because his handle is not as tight as it needs to be able to do that through traffic. And so to me, this is a rhythm offensive basketball team. When they can stay in a rhythm, they're in good shape. When they get out of that, whether it's time or it's the other team getting some stops or just some weird shit happening, whatever it is, that's when things start getting bogged down. So like I think in Kansas City, when they have the opportunity, it sounds weird that like playing 4 games in 4 days might actually be good for them, because it allows them to just keep playing and to just keep going with it and not worry about overthinking each individual little play all the time. Because it does. I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are, but when I'm watching them play, there's a lot of times where I feel like I can watch them. I'm watching them overthink everything in real time.
No, you're right. It's perfect example. Torrey, confident drive, missed it. Who cares? Buchanan put back.
Right.
Do productive, like you do something with a purpose. Productive things are going to happen. Like you just said, you made a great point, Levi. Just play the game of basketball. Don't overthink stuff. And this team becomes really good, like we've seen them for most of the year.
And I think like Lipsy and Heisey are the ultimate like kind of improv basketball of they get an offensive rebound or an extra tip or like just weird shit happens. You don't draw that up and the ball just gets the right place at the right time. I think another product of that is like we don't really have a guard that can go get a bucket. So if we do need to slow things down and just tell somebody we need one, that's not really what we're built to do. So it is much easier if things are just coming and flowing in the state of offense where we don't have to slow things down and bog it down.
And I think that's probably our biggest weakness right now is the guard play with we need a shot, go get one. Because let's be honest, if we're being truthful here, the Lipsy drive downhill with his head down is complete bullshit, in my opinion. It's insane. You're going to come across actual competent guards and who have scouted that and pay attention to that, and head and assistant coaches yelling at the refs every media timeout. Look what this point guard's going to do. He's going to run with his head down, out of control. Don't reward him. Don't reward what he's about to do. And there's going to be a point where it doesn't work anymore. And I give it respect. He's so smart for doing that, especially when he sees a defender not in a legal position, like backing away. He's going to get it every single time. Respect there. But at the same point, that cannot be your best shot as a guard. That's insane. And it's to the point where, like, if I had to choose what was the best shot between our 3-4 guards, if you're adding Heisey and Bateman, I think it's a Bateman 3. Call me crazy, but a Bateman 3, whether contested or not, I think is probably the best shot out of all 4 of them.
I don't think I disagree. I don't know if I have a good rebuttal for what else it would be.
Yeah.
Because right now, I mean, there's nothing from Toure that you're like, okay, maybe, but and Lipsy's just not knocking down anything right now. And the problem too with him driving, just putting his head down and driving to the hoop now, is he's not shooting well from the free throw line. And so like the intended end of that is, if you can get the basket, great, but really you're really kind of foul hunting with that drive. And even if he gets it, he's been better the last couple games. It does seem like. But it's not. I mean, he's still got to be under 70% for the season. And I can tell you, Team Lipsy is still shooting 65.5%, which is just not good enough for a point guard.
Yeah, and a senior. And another thing, going back to Kyle's question about March, is like guard play is always what gets you far in March every single year for every single team, and I think we have guards that are capable of that level of play. Like, I'm not saying they can't get to it. They're just not, they didn't show it today for sure.
Mm-hmm. And this was also like you got to give the flowers to Tech a little bit. This was kind of like a worst possible game. Yeah, it was in Hilton, but our guard shot 1 of 11 from 3. We somehow got it to 6 with that occurring. And then Tech made 3 outstanding shots.
Mhm.
Like, we got it into position to be in position, like John Rothstein says all the time. We were there, and then it just didn't work out. That's why I don't think I'm, like, pressing the crazy button on, like, the season yet. It was kind of, like, some of those shots they made. There was that one at the under 12 where it's, like, it's just kind of one of those days. Like, they shot close to 60% from 3 or a little over with 29 attempts. Like,
yeah,
it's just one of those games.
I also think so, me included, but you feel invincible at Hilton at this point. You like, I don't care who comes into Hilton, you think we're gonna win because it's Hilton Coliseum and we're Iowa State. And I mean, we're 48-3. It's pretty solid. Like there's some numbers to back that up a little bit, but I think that's another jarring thing about like even at BYU, you know, you're on the road, DeBanza plays out of his mind. There's something a little more sobering about like it happening in Ames, a game you probably should have won, and to just kind of get beat to the punch out the gate, it's concerning.
Dylan, the streets are saying that you may look a lot like the lead singer from the All American Rejects.
He had did you see what he was doing? He just was throwing like random concerts last summer.
So yeah, they did a whole bit because they're kind of like coming back. So they just did like house parties. I am currently on their waiting list to host one at my house.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
If that happens,
we'll see if it comes through, but there's a non-zero chance that I have them playing in my backyard or something like that.
Hell yeah.
Fucking sweet. But yeah. You're exactly right though on them playing at home though, because like there's so many times where it's like, yeah, they're down 16 at half, but you know, we've seen them come back from that. Like but it's really at that point, it's just like okay, you got to be plus 1 point, you know, plus 0.9 points for the next, you know, per minute for the next however many. That's just getting a stop and a score every few minutes or whatever. Like that's not undoable. And so that's, you know, we've seen it, but then today it was just dagger after dagger after dagger. And the 2 shots by Petty back to back were some of the
nasty.
I mean, they're probably the 2 best jump shots I've seen anybody hit against Iowa State all year.
And Milan plays bad defense at times. That was not bad defense. He could not have played that better. Just didn't matter. And
there was one that who hit that one early? That someone got Buchanan on skates and then hit a step back 3 in his face. Was that Watts maybe?
Petty too.
Was it Petty?
Yeah.
I'll confess to not knowing Petty's game coming into this, but I leave impressed.
That one was another like scouting report problem I guess I had with the game is you guys saw how high Petty shoots. Like he jumps so high in the air, and 2 of his threes and 1 of his jump shot, like we just gave him so much like court to like bounce off of. I was like, dude, like don't get under him where it's a foul, but you don't let him shoot his normal jump shot. Like that's the biggest thing when like a closeout, you want a high hand or something that's in the vision of the shooter, so it's just not them in the rim, and then also making them feel uncomfortable without fouling. And like I think we're one of the worst closeout teams there is.
We're not good.
Heisey's not great despite all the amazing stuff he does, and there's just like low hands. We're not making them uncomfortable, and with a team like Tech, like that's a problem. That was like one of the other things I just had with the game. I was like, guys, what are we doing here? This is like not simple X and O's, but this has to be drilled into your brain since film.
I gotta. So with the exception of 23-24, every single TJ team has gotten worse over the course of the season, and some of the data backs that up. Do you think there's anything to that? Is it a system? I mean, is it just kind of like a weird coincidence where there's like a lot of other things happening, or is it like do we think there is some sort of systemic issue with whether it's the scheme or the roster or whatever it is that keeps leading the team to sort of start to crumble a little? Not crumble in the basketball terms is kind of an aggressive word, but like start to decay a little bit. Decay, I don't know I'm not sure what the right word is, but kind of fall apart a little bit towards the end of the season.
Yeah. I think like you could look at our schedule in October and be like, man, we got a lot of tough games down the stretch. I mean, that is truly
Big
some of it
12.
is like we're playing the best teams at the end of the season right now.
Absolutely.
That hasn't been the case every year, but I don't, to me, there's not a single denominator between all the seasons. I know it is true, but I don't think it's one thing that can be fixed or that we've done wrong each season. We play a very physical brand of basketball, but so do other teams, and they don't have that. Houston made it to the championship last year. They play the same defense we do, the same kind of effort. They're not way deep. They're not super like way deeper than us. They're not throwing a bunch of bodies.
I do want to push back on one point there, though. You said the same effort, and I'm not like saying Iowa State is a low effort basketball team, but what's always impressed me about Houston is they very, very rarely lay an egg. Like they very rarely come out and just look flat, or they look like they're just not playing super hard. They're not hustling, or they're not rebounding. You'd never see that out of a Kelvin Sampson team ever.
Even if we are not doing that every game, how can Houston still do that and make it that far? I think sometimes people are like, it's because we played too hard. We're worn out by the end of the year. I don't think that's what it is. I think this year it has a lot to do with the schedule.
I think the tricky part with the schedule point though is that like that can be a good indicator for why the wins and losses happen, but it doesn't always explain why the quality of play, the change in the quality of play happens. So it's kind of what happens between the whistles type of thing, I think, is where his point is largely lying, is that like, why does it feel like towards the end of the season, the last few years, they've just been playing worse basketball down the stretch? And I think it's a fair question. I mean, we've got 4 years of data on it at this point that it kind of keeps happening. Is it just a bunch of random consequences that just kind of keep showing up? I don't know. Tom, what do you think?
I'm kind of with Dylan. I don't really see a common answer to all the years. Like 2022, you have a freshman point guard, and then you play 7.5 guys, most that aren't supposed to be playing at the Big 12 level.
They probably
like that.
Worn down.
Rob Jones, dog.
Yeah.
His first year. That guy. That was a Big 12 basketball player.
And then 2023, great start. And then personally, I think the scouting report got out of, hey, just let Jaron Holmes, Kausher, Taman shoot the ball. Like, don't let them drive. And then Oshun had a knee injury, I believe, like 12 games in. I don't think he ever got healthy after that. 2024, nothing happened. Look how awesome we were. In 2025, I think it was injuries and just you couldn't get the chemistry and rhythm with how on and off the injuries were. So, which, again, like injuries and like stuff like that, I think I would want one more year with new guys like we'll see next year to like come with a defined answer, but I'm kind of with Dylan on that point.
I think a lot of people are looking at it the same way that people wanted to look at the football injuries the last 2 years, where it just a slew of injuries through October and November, and saying like, well, it's happened 2 years in a row now. Is it random chance? Is it a training staff issue? Is it a practicing style issue and stuff like that? And the answer is it's like a lot of things, and it was just a different lot of things for football, especially now. Granted, that was 2 years versus like 4 or 5 years with TJ, but and I'm not really like suggesting that it's like is this a long-term thing that this just what's always going to happen every year. I'm not saying that, but I don't blame people though for trying to find the common denominator there, because it's like when you have the same result that keeps happening, but you can't figure out what the common factor is, then it's frustrating, because you can't be looking at this like, okay, this is the thing that has to change. If it was truly like, man, every year the injuries are piling up, guys are beat to hell, and they're clearly like, then it's like, okay, maybe maybe the defensive system is too taxing on these guys over the course of an entire season. Early season when they're fresh, it's awesome, it's amazing, it just beat the shit out of people, and it's great. But then February it starts wearing down. But like you said, Houston plays sometimes even more physically than we do.
Right.
And they're not getting worn down. So the question is, why is Houston not running into the same issues at the end of the season that Iowa State is?
I still think there is some time. I think it's probably going to happen in Kansas City and not Tucson, but I think there is time to turn this around. We haven't been bitten
Oh,
by the injury
100%.
bug, and I think we can still get to that level. I mean, we swept Kansas and Houston less than like 12 days ago, 14 days ago.
Mhm.
So
It's amazing how fast that changes.
yeah, like shit can turn real quick. Like I really thought we were like so many good things were happening for Iowa State to get a 1 seed or a 2 seed, and to see it slip out. I think 2 seed is still very much in play, but a 1 seed more so. But I think Kansas City is the place to do it. If this team turns it around, if they make a run to the championship game on Saturday, I think a lot of this noise goes away very quickly about Toure and about the guard play and stuff like that.
Finney has decided to donate more of his filthy Texas Tech winter money. Appreciate it for one. But it's a predictable offense after we're scouted. That's my answer for the TJ fade.
Yeah.
I think there's probably something to that.
Yeah.
I would be curious to know what the answer is for why it doesn't feel like we make notable schematic adjustments through the year. I mean, to a certain extent, you have the team you have, but like in this case, we know that they're hunting to deny the ball. That the entire defensive game plan revolves around denying Milan the ball, and then you just take care of the rest of it after that. What are you doing to address that? Are you just going to absorb that and say, "Well, shit, our best offensive player is just out, or he's out of the game now"? Or do we? How are you adjusting to account for that? Hey, how are you adjusting to account that for the fact that one of your guards does nothing on offense for you? How are you adjusting for that? And like Tom said at the beginning of this one, defense, how are you adjusting for the fact that Tech is going to attack you way differently than Arizona is going to attack you?
Right.
How are you adjusting for that?
I think that's where like a lot of the frustration is some of that stubbornness, that it feels like we are locked in on playing how we play, no matter who we play, that we're going to do the same thing no matter what. Because more often than not, it leads to a win. And there is a formula there. But when there's so much different style, yeah, Arizona's going to pound. They're going to try to score every point in the paint. They don't shoot a bunch of threes. They're so talented in the front court. Mm-hmm. Krivas and Pete's back now. But yeah, it feels like we come out and do the same thing no matter who we play.
I think this year, because we were talking about similar ways the season have ended with the struggles, schedule, injuries, tape is out. This year, I think a little bit of it is the schedule, but then also like a little bit is tape as well. I think it's spread throughout. One key point is Jefferson. He's so good on the block one-on-one, whether it's passing or he gets to his spot. But I've seen it the past couple games that teams are now doubling on his second move. So he'll spin, and then he's going up for his second move. Boom, there's 2-3 guys there. Like, impossible to do a pass to the chest, impossible to make a shot. So all of a sudden, the offense is stopped. Now, counterpoint, that is fixable. That is very, very fixable. The same with confidence with Toure. The same with some other things offensively and defensively. I think the one thing is consistent defense from Milan. You need him on the court. You need him from spacing. We saw Tech. We saw Anderson. They were destroying our double teams, and they were picking on Milan in the first half. He stepped it up a couple possessions in the second, but they were really picking on him. And old man Derek said it in the Slack, like, we might need to think about taking Milan out. And at that time, he was right before he hit some of those threes, because we were trying to go on a run. And guess what? They just put Milan every single pick and roll ever. And they were getting to the spot they wanted. Now they started to miss shots after that. So the points of how this season is going, it is schedule, I think, is a lot of it. But I think some of it is tape, key point, fixable tape. I think confidence, and I think trying new things with Jefferson down low, maybe understanding that a lot of people are going to come during your second move. You got to pass it a second sooner. So confidence-wise, I'm starting to come back down to earth a little bit. Like, these are fixable things. These aren't injuries. Yeah. These aren't chemistry issues. Like, these are fixable things. Now, can we fix them? I have no idea.
Joe said, thanks you guys for chatting up the Clones. Win or lose, draw. Always fun rooting for the Clones. We go like the rest of the way. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the positive comment. That's a nice, good vibes comment right there. And I think, and Tom, I think that what you're talking about there is part of the reason that some of my frustration comes out during these games. And like, I'm an engineer by trade, and engineers fundamentally are about finding a problem and finding a solution to that problem and making sure that you don't cause that problem again, and finding a permanent fix for that problem. So when I'm watching a team that I can see is making a lot of the same mistakes over and over, it drives me nuts, drives me insane. And that's why I'm waiting for this team to find some of these spots where you say, okay, we've done this a few different times. It's not working. Let's either get away from it, or better yet, we use that to our advantage by finding a counter for that. So we say, we're going to do this. Joshua Jefferson is getting double teamed on his second move. So what he's going to do is he's going to do his first move, and then he's immediately going to look out for a passing option right then and there, because if he turns around, there's going to be a second defender right there. But if he immediately gets his head up and whips that shit around and whips it across the court to the opposite wing, you've either got an open shot there, or you're one pass away from an open shot, probably. So that's the kind of thing that I would like to see out of that. And we saw it. I'd have to find the possession. I'm not sure exactly when in the game it was. I think it was right out of halftime. It was one of the second or third possession out of halftime. For the whole game up to that point, we'd seen it a bunch of times where they get bogged down in the half court offense. They just kind of dump it down into Jefferson. He's just backing his guy down, and then he just kind of plays some hero ball. Then it was, I want to say it's like the second or third possession out of halftime. They threw it into them. He actually specifically cleared everybody out, and then started backing some guys down, did one move, and then passed out of it and found an open shooter. I think he may have found Bateman maybe, and I think he missed the shot, but it was a good look. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I want to see from Iowa State. Is now you're scouting your own scout, because you've already been scouted for how you're going to try to get Milan open, for how you're going to try to get Taman to come around a corner on a screen and get towards the hoop, how you're going to dump it into Jefferson as an ISO in the post. Teams have already seen that. They've scouted it. You've already played a few games of them defending you that way. Now you can scout that and say, okay, how do we counter those new tendencies that teams are defending us with? That's what I need to see. And that's where I think the Big 12, a run for the Big 12 tournament can come in a lot of handy there, because you get a few games right in a row. You just get to be in a rhythm offensively. You get to diagnose new problems against 4 different teams. It's not quite spaced like the NCAA tournament, but you get to a similar-ish environment to that, where you can be like, okay, we're playing teams on short rest. We're going to scout our own scout. We're going to learn how to counter what we're doing offensively, so that way teams can't just settle in on what we're doing. Because this is not an isolation basketball team. It just isn't. No. There is not a single player on this entire team that is an Isaiah Brockington where you just give him the ball and say, go get a bucket. There's nobody on that team that can do this.
That point goes exactly to what TJ says every single press conference. Like, we have to move with a purpose. We have to, you have to play together, because that's what it is. Like, Jefferson is good when he's passing, and that involves people to be moving without the ball and moving with a purpose. Milan coming off screens hard. Like, you just have to do things with a purpose, and good things are going to happen, whether it's a missed shot. Like, to your point with that play, Bateman missed an open 3, but guess what? It was an open 3. That makes the defense think about it, and, like, it's just little stuff like that.
And Bateman's a good enough shooter that he'll knock those down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like you're finding Toure wide open. You're like, if he makes it, great, but we're not expecting it to go down. This comment here from Total Dragon Mania, are you guys seeing the difference with how we move around the basket compared to the beginning of the year? It seems way less energetic. It seems way less energetic and less crisp. And I think this kind of speaks to that larger point too. Yeah.
I think so much of it too is like when you're able to park 3 defenders in the paint, a lot harder to operate down there. And a lot of times when you watch Jefferson wave off, it's usually whatever guard is on that wing. Especially today, our player will leave, the defender won't. The defender won't even follow that guard. Because that's what Jefferson's trying to do, is get one less defender out of that area. But they're just like, no, we don't care about that guy floating on the 3-point line. And that, again, just limits so much of what we want to do. It limits a passing lane. It limits, movement for Jefferson to turn over his shoulder and get to the paint. It just, when we aren't making shots at the beginning of a game, it gets really hard.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something they have to emphasize a lot. And I'm sure the coaches do. The coaches know more than I. They talk way better than I do. But it's like that first 4 minutes. Every coach says it's the first.
Short, Tom.
It's thank you. But the coaches, my high school coach said the same thing. It's the first 4 minutes, and which we played quarters, but it's first half, second half. like you have to set the intensity. And we played well in the first couple minutes, but then literally like the last two, like we let them hit early threes. We let them take the lead a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Hilton isn't that scary after all. Like we can do this."
Mm-hmm. I think the one thing that I have noticed, not the one thing, but one of the things I have noticed is that like the last month or two, as teams have found the scout for the offense, it does seem as though they haven't really adjusted very well to it. And you can tell that while they're watching, because there's a lot of times where they'll be running offensive sets, and it's only 2 or 3 guys that are really interacting with each other. Usually at least one guy standing in the far opposite corner, just standing. And then there's maybe one wing guy that's kind of bouncing back and forth a little bit, but not doing a lot. It's usually only 2 or 3 guys doing things on offense. And you can clearly see it when you watch too, is like which is when are they running sets versus when are they just kind of improvising, just kind of doing something. They're just kind of running an offense. Is because there's a lot of times when you can watch and guys will set a screen, guys will come off a screen, and they'll be looking for a pass, not finding the pass they're supposed to find, if that makes sense. They're like, when they're running a set, like especially when they're coming out of an inbounds, there's a plan. They know like this guy's going to be open. This is the guy I pass it to, and it's crisp and it's good. We saw Milan can a 3 off one of those during the game today.
Yeah.
Then you get some of these half court sets though, where they get bogged down. And it seems to me as though they're not, I don't know if they're not being given a set to run or if they're just not confident in what they're doing. But there's a lot of times where like passes or cuts will kind of catch guys off guard a little bit, or they won't be 100% ready, or they'll be a little bit indecisive about where they want to go with the pass. There'll be times where, a guy will get the ball up top. He'll come off a screen and then he'll pick up his dribble looking for a pass versus knowing that guy's going to roll, or knowing that guy's going to pop based on what he saw on the defense. It seems to me as though there's something going on here where the guys aren't really confident about where they should be going with the ball, or where this possession needs to end up. Whether it needs to end up, we're trying to find a shooter. We're trying to find an open shooter, or we're trying to find a back door, or we're trying to find a way to attack the rim. It seems to me like they don't always know what the goal of the possession is and what they're trying to get out of that possession as far as how they're going to try to score.
I think a lot of it is like just a lack of improvising from, they are looking for a certain look, and if it's not there, you're kind of just doing the same actions. And at some point, dribble the hell out of the ball. Like, don't dribble it to death and just start playing iso ball. But there needs to be some level of, this shit ain't working. Even though this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, there's a path here, there's a lane here that I can cut. There just needs to be more random movement in the offense, off ball especially. Because a lot of times it is a 2-man game, and those other 3 guys are kind of waiting for something.
Mm-hmm.
It's the little things, moving without the ball, rotations on defense. It felt like a lot of times we were staring at the ball. Torre on that missed 3 that he had didn't run down the court. It felt like he was staring at that ball that didn't go in, and then he stared for the extra second, and then boom, it's points on the other end. Milan was staring at the ball. He lost track of, I believe it was Atwell, open 3, top of the key. Like, it's the little things like that which are good, because the little things are fixable. They're very, very fixable, but they're hard to maintain throughout the season. They're hard to always be on top of, because they're the little things. You don't think about them a lot. But the little things also are a reason you get upset. That's what happens, is a mid-major gets hot from 3 a little bit to keep him in the game. Confidence is rising. And again, neutral courts, 80% of the fans there, besides the 20 that are yours, are cheering for the upset. Right. So you have to maintain the little things like turnovers, keeping the offense rolling, which means, again, moving without the ball. And they're fixable. But again, I feel like that's the story, going into the Big 12 tournament and March Madness, is our main problem is the little things. We don't have a big issue like Keyshawn's injury last year, where you're this is really tough. We had a great draw, but it's that is so tough that we have to restart the chemistry with a new lineup and a new organization of shot makers. It's Curtis and who. But now it's the little things. They are fixable, but ... can you fix them?
The scary thing for me is that when you look at how mid majors beat high majors in the NCAA tournament, it's either because they have Clayton Custer or they have Kenneth Fareed. They have one of those two. They have one of those two players, or maybe both. And both of those archetypes of players are a big problem for Iowa State to defend, because they don't. Iowa State doesn't have. They're like a fine team rebounding team, but they don't have any individually elite rebounders.
Yeah.
Tiemann, I guess, is a good rebounder for his size, but he's also 5'10". And if you get a 6'8" guy that's a really good rebounder, he's going to win that battle 9.9 times out of 10.
Unless it's Chris Sinek on a free throw.
Yeah, unless it's very specifically that.
Right.
And then you got like an individually great shot creator and scorer that can work their way through double teams, that can knock down contested shots, stuff like that. That type of player gives Iowa State a problem too. So, and it's not necessarily that they're going to run into a mid-major that has that, but if they do run into a team that has one of those two players, either Clayton Custer or Kenneth Fareed, if you have one of those two players, that's scary for Iowa State in a tournament situation, because then you had the scout, the overnight scout was, we got to try to find this guy, but having a good rebounder on a scouting report is sometimes helpful and sometimes kind of not, because it's usually just an effort thing. And then all of a sudden now you're just thinking about this guy getting rebounds, and all of a sudden you forgot that there's 4 other guys that are rebounding too. And I think that's what worries me in the tournament situation, is those little things.
I still I've been pretty loud about it, especially in the group chat, that this is by far.
We gotta win in the margins.
Unfortunately, it is kind of true. Levi, I know you'll probably have a heart attack if I say that during the game, but
it's not a phrase I appreciate anymore.
Yeah, that's in a different state now. I still think this team is so much better at rebounding than the past. I mean, really all the odds teams have been bad at rebounding, and the way they got with it was forcing turnovers and getting points off turnovers. But to be a top 50 rebounding team, I still think we're probably impossible to beat if we win the turnover battle, win the rebound battle, and shoot more shots than the other team. I truly don't think if we do those 3 things against any team in the country, we probably win that game. Those are all easier said than done things to do. The one thing that does worry me, Texas Tech is not especially a big team, especially without JT Toppin now. A lot of these rebounds are coming off of long rebounds, like 3-point shots. And then TCU, another really short team that we could not rebound against. So it's not like we're losing the rebound battle to Arizona, or if we play them, Florida, who have all these tall, great rebounders. We're not winning the rebound against short teams. And that's concerning, because a lot of mid-majors are just shorter by nature. And if we can't out-rebound on long rebounds, and that's, like you said, Tom, that's so much of just being in the right spot. If you close out your guy instead of crashing to the rim, that I don't know how many times someone 15 feet away from the basket got the rebound today, because there were 7 players within 5 feet of the rim.
This felt like a freshman mistake game a little bit from Bateman and Torrey, a lot on Torrey, but one possession, Bateman had a fast break. He stole the ball, great defense, and he gives up the ball to Buchanan a second too early, nevertheless, on a bounce pass.
Yeah.
That's 101. You're upset with Blake because you're a D1 player. You should be able to control that ball and at least get it on the rim. But that is middle school level basketball to never bounce pass to a post player in transition. Nevertheless, give it to them early where they have to put it on the floor. That's insane to me. And that, it's a freshman mistake though. If you're a junior senior, take it to the rim 1-on-1. You're going downhill. Guess what? If you miss it, Buchanan's by himself to put it back.
Right.
That's just things he will learn from. And then Torrey, we've talked about his mistakes enough. I don't need to talk about it again. It's just it felt like freshman mistakes, which they can learn from too. So I said it at the very beginning of the year, I think before even a game happened, I thought the ceiling went as high as this freshman class could take us. And I've wavered. The only time I've ever wavered was I was thinking about putting all that stock into Taman because of the way he plays. But it's kind of more with the freshman class. Plata had a rebound when we were down 12, momentum was happening, and he brought it low, and all of a sudden he didn't have it anymore. So it's the little things, they're very fixable, but are they fixable for a long-term stretch in March?
It's a lot of things that you would expect to be fixed in junior high, including free throws. Now, granted, I do want to give them credit. They have actually
They're getting better.
They've actually been knocking down some free throws. They shot 70% today, which isn't blowing the doors off the thing, but it's 70% as a team is good enough. That's good enough.
BYU, I think they went 15-19.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
They shot like 75-80% against BYU. They're definitely knocking down free throws the last few games. They need to keep doing that, but they can the free throws can't come at the expense of everything else.
Yeah.
Which I mean it's not, because they're not defensive and rebounding effort is not related to knocking down free throws, but we know when you watch this team, when they put it together, they can beat anybody, and they can beat anybody by 20. Like, they can blow the doors off of anybody when they're playing well. It just felt like earlier in the season we saw more complete games from them, and now we're getting little parts and chunks of games, and we need to see them get back to putting together, even if it's a complete first half, and then the second half is kind of they can still win that game by 15 because they got out to a 25-point lead at halftime. The team is good enough to do that, but they need to get back to doing that and to being the aggressor in a lot of these games.
My kind of last concern with Iowa State, and especially before today's game, was like, can we bring it on the road? Because Purdue was kind of our last like really solid road win, and that was a non-conference game like 3 months ago. And we're still kind of missing a signature road win in Big 12 play. Arizona's obviously the last opportunity to do it. I don't feel super confident after today's game, but I don't think it's out of the question either. I still think, like we said, a lot of these things are small, fixable things. It's just a matter of will they be fixed or not.
Yeah, that's what I've been kind of saying. I don't want to repeat
In the
myself
margins,
anymore.
Tom. It's all in the margins.
Say we need to win in the margins.
We just need to win the margins, guys. Like, if we do that, we're gonna win the game.
I hated that.
If we're the
I
most
don't
better
take it
team,
back.
I think I hate it. I think I hate it more because last year it was very hard to get up. Not very. I was ready to.
It was hard to get. It was hard to get out of bed.
It was, like, when we're going into Ole Miss, I'm like, this is a winnable game. We can do this. We're a better team.
On paper, we should have smoked them, Tom.
But we kind of left out the whole looming thing of our second best guard and the guy that got downhill so easily and helped everything. That was kind of a big part. This part, it's like, I hate it because these little things are so fixable that you're going to get so angry when they're still not fixed. Yeah. But also, it's going to feel so good in the Sweet 16 when you're beating up on a 3 seed because we fixed the very minimal things and we look awesome again.
And I kind of do think that, like, this is one of the if Iowa State is able to keep winning in March Madness, like, you're going to be nervous for the first game. You're like, oh, fuck, what's going to happen here? The second game, you're going to be like, fine, it's great. It's going to look better. They're going to be more in sync and all this. Then you're going to get to the Sweet 16. You're like, fuck, what's happening? If they win the Sweet 16 game, you get to the Elite 8 game, and you're like, this is great. They're playing in rhythm. We're never losing again. And it's every time between natty. And then you get to the Final Four game, we're like, this is fucked. I hate this. And then, like, no, it's just kind of one of those. Ordinarily, I'm not a huge proponent of, like, how you play in the conference tournament matters a lot. You can win it and not do anything in March. You can lose in the first round and go a long ways. You can win it and then also just go a long ways in March. They're not really correlated, and especially for Iowa State. No, I saw some comments about that earlier about how, like, in the past we've won the tournament and then done nothing. Well, the last time they kind of did that was 2019 when they won and then they lost in the first round to Ohio State. Of course, we also found out later from our good friend Nate Schuster that Steve Fromm made the run 2-a-days the day of the tournament game. So
jail.
Now we know why that didn't work out. But they've got a chance. Arizona's a great team. No one's expecting them to win that game. Yeah. But Arizona does present to you an interesting matchup defense. They're basically the opposite of what Texas Tech just gave you.
Right.
And Iowa State has problems against good shooting teams. Against teams that want to pack it in the lane where Iowa State likes to double team, you can have some success. Like, Arizona will need to knock down some outside shots. Last year in Tucson, Arizona had to knock down Caleb Love had to knock down some really huge 3-point shots to win that game. And, but they're going to need to get it together offensively. ISOing Josh Jefferson in the post against Arizona is going to go incredibly poorly. They need to not do that. You can do it sometimes to just kind of keep things moving, but, like, that can't be plan A against Arizona. but you can do that. Then you come back home, you get senior night against an Arizona State team that is playing okay right now, but their season's completely done. Doesn't matter what they do at this point. They're just playing for fun at this point. And well, I don't even know if they're playing for fun. They're just playing at this point. But so you have that. But then the Big 12 tournament, you're going to play some good teams. You're going to have a chance to play. You're going to have a chance to play 4 games against good teams and really get right in the Big 12 tournament. That doesn't mean you have to win the tournament to feel good going into the NCAA tournament, but it's your opportunity to feel like you're at least somewhat back on track offensively. So they have a good opportunity ahead of themselves here before Selection Sunday, which at this point, they'd have to lose to Arizona State to probably not be a 2 seed, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, 1 seed's off the table. 3 seed is only on the table if they lose to Arizona State, probably.
Yeah. And even that, I mean, it would be terrible in terms of momentum, but a 3 seed and a 2 seed, there's not a whole lot of, yeah.
And even if they would be by far the most terrifying 3 seed in the tournament if they somehow fell down to that line. So, you guys got any final thoughts before I wrap her up for tonight?
I sure don't. Let's start winning games again. I like that.
Just for Arizona, I think it's one at the top of the key and at the free throw line. Is Jaden Bradley getting his mid-range jumpers there, or are we shutting him down? Is Jefferson and Milan operating at the free throw line? I feel really good about that. My voice is about to break out. I'm going to stop talking because I'm so sick right now.
Tom, are you crying?
Flu game.
Oh, my God, Tom, go to take a nap, my God.
Going to be at a hospital in 2 hours.
Dying in front of our very eyes.
I'm out of water.
Holy shit.
Out of water. I'm struggling.
Somebody
I want to get that point out.
ambulance.
I got a second breath here, but yeah, free throw line, charity stripe. Make your free throws. Jefferson, Milan, cook there. Don't let them get their entry passes. And hopefully I live to watch that game on Monday.
It helps soon.
Thank you.
Alrighty, folks. Thank you for watching another post game here on CF After Dark. For Tom Turner and Dylan Stevenson. We'll be back again Monday night after the Arizona game. Hopefully win. We'll see. Hopefully at minimum they're playing better. That's what we're looking to see. So everybody have a great rest of your night. See you again on Monday. Cyclones.
I'm dying. Oh my God.